that's how powerful you are. That's how powerful feminine energy is, that we don't talk about. Our external, our reality is a reflection of us. If we take ownership of that and accountability of that, then that says a lot. And here's the thing, and I think this is really important to say. You know, I think that there's a lot of women out there that want to more operate in their masculine energy, but they also internally and subconsciously desire a man that's more in his masculine energy, a more masculine energy man. And what you'll find is that, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I want to talk about if you can change them. If you can change a person using feminine energy, using your consciousness, using all of that jazz. A little esoteric video, but I really feel like we need to talk about it because there are varying schools of thought on it, and I really want to dive into this and unpack it and really look at it from a feminine energy perspective. So if you're interested in a video like that, please keep watching. So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm really excited about this video because, you know, it's interesting because you see varying schools of thought on whether a man can change for a person, for a woman, or anything like that. And I really want to talk about it because I think it's a really important subject to talk about, especially if there's a family involved, if there's kids involved and things like that, because I'm a big proponent for the family unit and a strong family, because stronger families make, you know, well-rounded people and productive citizens, all that jazz. So I want to talk about it, and I think it's really important. I feel like leading into this conversation too, I ask that you have an open mind. If you're into manifesting and you believe in different dimensions and parallel realities, and there's different versions of you, this will make sense. But if you're new to manifesting and quantum physics and that kind of stuff, this might be a little esoteric for you. I just want to preface it because, you know, I'm very esoteric, and I talk about parallel realities. I've talked about parallel realities previously, but I kind of gotten out of it because it can be a little like out there for a lot of people. But I really want to talk about it from a manifesting standpoint, a brain science standpoint, all of that jazz. So can you change your man? Can you change your man? And the answer to that is yes, you can. Now, oftentimes with manifesting, we talk about your self-concept and focusing on a different version of yourself. Like we talk about this all the time, like there's different versions of you, there's different versions of yourself, and you have to focus on that to become it, right? And so you go into your imaginal act or your mind's eye, focus on that version of you, and you become it. But this is where things get a little tricky, and it's interesting that I find that people have varying schools of thought on this, is that so there's different versions of you, and if you focus on that version of you, then you can become that and experience that version of you. But there's like no speak of different versions of other people. And I think that this is really important because we often get into, everyone is toxic and this person's that and that person's this and that kind of thing. And I think that is really important to really come from a place that people can change. But it takes for you to focus on that version of that person. Just like you can manifest a certain version of you, you can do that for someone else. You can do that for your man. You can do that for your spouse, especially if there's history and you really want to make it work. If there's children involved, if you really want to make it work, I think it's worth doing. Now, is it a challenge? Absolutely, especially if there's history. It can be very, very challenging because if someone is acting in your reality and you're in a situation a certain way, it is hard to, in the present now, to focus on a different version of them when they're acting a certain way in your present now, in your reality, in your face. And I think that needs to be said. because it's really, really challenging. And that's why I think that a lot of people adopt the viewpoint that you can't change someone else. And the whole thing about free will comes in, and they're like, well, that person has free will. The thing is, there are different dimensions. Creation is already created. Creation's complete, okay? And that's when we're using our imagination, we're tapping into different realities, different things that we can experience, because creation's already complete. It's already created, So when we go into our imagination, we are tapping into those things. And so if you can see someone a certain way, a certain version of themselves, you are tapping into that reality in which they are that way. But that's hard. It's easier to do it for yourself, but it's harder to do it for someone else, because you have to maintain that state to experience that version of that person. I hope that makes sense. So I want to talk about it. And I mentioned parallel realities, law of assumption. Well, I haven't mentioned the law of assumption, but all of this will go into the law of assumption, parallel realities, and the law of entrainment, which I've talked about on this channel, which is on the same lines as holding a certain version of that person. And according to like brain science, your brain waves will sync up with that person, and you'll be on the same wavelength, so to speak. And that is the same kind of thing, okay? You're really tapping into a different version of that person. If you hold that standard, if you hold that vision, brain science, the law of entrainment, will say that your brain wavelength are, I have a hard time saying that, but your brain wavelengths are syncing up together, and you're going to be on the same page. It's all about how you can conceptualize it. They're all saying the same thing. The law of assumption, parallel realities, holding to a vision, a law of entrainment, is all saying the same thing. Quantum physics says it. If you can focus on a possibility, you can collapse that potential and experience it. Okay? They all say the same thing. And so the notion that you can't change someone is not true, in my opinion. Okay? According to all of these things. Just like you can focus on a version of yourself to experience that version of yourself, you can do that with someone else. You can focus on that version of that person. And so I want to share a little story, because I find this very interesting, and I think that's going to help with the can you change somebody. So before I got married, I did premarital counseling. So before I got married, I did premarital counseling. And I remember, I don't remember the scripture, but I remember the pastor, and he was saying something along the lines of, there's a story in the Bible where the woman had to maintain her love for her husband, even though he was acting the fool. I'm paraphrasing here, but he was acting the fool. He was not treating her right, and this kind of thing. But she had to hold to the vision. She had to hold to a standard, and she continued, no matter what he was doing in their experience, in their reality, she continued to love him through that. And he ended up changing. He ended up changing and treating her like she deserved to be treated, and loving her immensely. And when I heard that, when the pastor told me that, and I was like, why is he bringing this up? Because I was kind of like, I was still in my feistiness, and I still have it in me, but I was feisty Amber at that time. And I remember him saying that, and I was like, I wouldn't love him through that. I wouldn't do that. Like, well, he needs to treat me right now. And he should. Okay, let's get that clear. He should treat you right now. And so I just thought that was interesting, but it stuck with me all of these years. And that had to be like 15 years ago. And it stuck with me all of this time. And so I always, and ever since then, like I said, it's stuck with me. And now that I know the brain science of manifesting and the consciousness and like quantum physics of it all and all that stuff, now that I know all of this stuff and the law of assumption, I understand that way more than I did then. Now, I'm not an advocate for get with a bum. And okay, so let's try this again because my phone ran out of memory per usual. I just need to stop saying it because it always happens. But I think I left off with, I'm not saying get with a bum and love him through it. Not at all. That's not what I'm about. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you have history with someone, perhaps you've had a long marriage or something like that, and you really want to make it work, then I think that there is something you can do about it. And I think it's important, especially, oftentimes what happens in a long-term relationship is that we are not having righteous thoughts. And righteous thoughts means right thoughts, elevated thoughts, loving thoughts about that person. And so your thoughts create, your thoughts become things, and your thoughts create people as well. And so oftentimes, if something small might have happened, those kind of thoughts can snowball over time that can create a situation that can lead to a demise of something that could be amazing. And so that's where I'm coming from. That's the perspective I'm coming from. And I think that's important to say because I'm not an advocate of like potential finding a man that might have potential and things like that. No. What I'm advocating for is if you really have something that you feel is meant for you, that perhaps some things might have happened and things can it be salvaged? Meaning the words today, can it be salvaged? And the answer to that is yes. And does it take a lot of work? Does it take a lot of discipline when it comes to your mindset? Absolutely. So let's unpack this. Can you change someone else? Now, I shared the story about, like premarital counseling. I thought that was interesting and I didn't believe it at the time. Fast forward, what I know about life, absolutely. People can change. And I also want to say this, and it's not so much that if you feel like that person is not right for you, then that's okay too, because you can hold for a vision for yourself that you are deserving of a certain kind of love, right? And that person in your life, if you hold to that vision, if they fall away, then that's fine too. Okay, as long as you hold to your standards and the vision you have for your life and what you're deserving of. I think that's really, really important to say. That's really important because, any kind of mistreatment or bad behaviors and things like that, you got to look at those things, I think. And just being real and honest. Like if we talk about manifesting and our internal, the things we're thinking, the things we're feeling, our external, our reality is a reflection of us. If we take ownership of that and accountability of that, then that says a lot, okay? That says a lot about the relationships in our reality. It says a lot about what we're experiencing, the drama, the friendships, all of those things. If we believe that, if we know that about ourselves, then that's going to speak volumes to what is going on in your relationship, because our relationships are a reflection of what our consciousness, what's going on internally. And we got to be real about that, right? We got to be honest with ourselves. That's really, really important, because here's the thing: the moment that we take ownership and of our reality, is powerful, because that means we can change it. we can change it. Like, we are giving ourselves the power back when we realize that and we take ownership and accountability of our reality, of our circumstances. Okay. So I want to be clear here because I know, like I said, there's varying schools of thought on this, and people are like, other people are toxic, and that situation's toxic and things like that. Is it important to remove yourself from situations? Yes, because even that act of removing yourself from situations in which are unsafe, that are mistreating, bad situations, that is an act of loving yourself. Is loving yourself. And so we have to look at it in its totality. Even if you know that you deserve amazingness, like, if a situation is occurring in your reality that you deserve better, if it's in that person or someone else, it's still a matter of you choosing you. This is important too. Can we focus on a version of them? Yes, but we have to look at it in its totality. Now, if there's not history and there's no children and you're not a family and things like that, would I do the work to focus on a version of them where they are loving and all this kind of stuff? Probably not, to be honest, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of discipline. It's a lot of discipline when it comes to your thoughts and how you're feeling and stuff, especially if you're in a situation with that person and you have to see them every day. Even if you're a parent and you might be separated from your spouse or whatever, you're still going to have to engage with them if you have kids and stuff like that. And so it's really, really hard work. It really is. And so you have to look at everything in its totality. Is it worth it to you? Is it better to start fresh? Is it better for you to start fresh? If it's all in what you believe at the end of the day. And so when it comes to feminine energy, I want to say this too. What I've discovered and what I've learned over the years, especially when manifesting, especially when it comes to relationships and things like that, how I was able to transform my life. Feminine energy is the holder of standards. Like, it's the holder of the vision. It's the holder of boundaries. And so I kind of want to go into relationships when it comes to masculine energy and feminine energy. And so there's often the dance, feminine energy and masculine energy, they work in harmony together, right? And so it's about working with the laws of life. So when it comes to relationship, and this is what I had to learn in my life, is that so there's so many different layers when it comes to this. I wanted a dynamic where my partner embraced his masculine energy and I was more my feminine. After experiencing burnout and frustration and not feeling fulfilled and all this kind of stuff, I came to a point in my life where I personally wanted to engage with life in my feminine. I wanted to be more in my feminine essence and things like that. And so when it came to my partner, I wanted that as well. And so in understanding that, it's about working with the energies and the laws of life. And here's the thing, and I think this is really important to say. I think that there's a lot of women out there that want to more operate in their masculine energy, but they also internally and subconsciously desire a man that's more in his masculine energy, a more masculine energy man. And what you'll find is that is going to be difficult because in this reality in which we live, we have to work with the laws of life. And feminine and masculine energy work in harmony together, but not in competition. So like this masculine energy coming together and wanting to have an harmonious life, it's going to be quite a challenge. And so you got to look at what it is that you desire, what it is, how do you want to live your life, how do you want to feel, and working with the different energies of life and working within the confines of the laws of life, the laws of the universe, right? And so that has to be said too. And so, in focusing on what it is that you truly desire, and I'm saying this because can you change someone? Yes, but it needs to be in the laws of nature and the laws of the universe. And so, I'll say this for me personally. Can you change someone? Yes, you need to focus on that version of themselves. But if you're focusing on a certain version of that person and they're more in their masculine energy, guess what? Guess what? You need to be more in your feminine energy for it to be harmonious and peaceful, because that's the law of the universe. So there's different energies in which we can work with. There's sexual energy, there's lunar energy, solar energy, feminine energy, masculine energy. There's so many different kinds of energies that exist. And so working with the laws of the land, working with the laws of the universe is something that you also have to consider when can you change someone? Okay, I hope this is making sense. Can you change someone? So if you're looking to focus on a version of someone that's more in their masculine energy and you want them to be in partnership with you, that means that you need to focus on a version of yourself in which you are embracing your feminine energy. Okay, and I think that needs to be said too. So can you change your partner? Yes, absolutely. You can focus on a version of them that's loving. You can have elevated, loving thoughts of them and focus on that and collapse that version in which you can experience them, right? Yes, you can do that. But you also have to look at it in its totality as well. Now, if you're looking for a more masculine version of that person, girlfriend, you need to be a little more in your feminine. So I wanted to share that, and I wanted to share it in a more well-rounded way, because this is something that has been my experience. Yes, I can focus on a different version of people, but it also comes back to me too. Like, if I'm engaging with them as well, and it's going to be peaceful and harmonious, right? And we want peace and harmony. I don't know who doesn't. I need to focus on a version of myself in which that will be a harmonious situation. So yes, it's possible, absolutely. But there's layers to it, obviously, in which I just shared. There's layers to it. And also I want to share also is that when it comes to these kind of things, a more practical way of looking at it, I feel like, is that, as feminine energy beings, as the more feminine energy creatures, we are the holders of the standards and the boundaries and things like that. That has to be said too. So typically, we hold the vision, we hold the standards, we hold the desires, we hold everything. And men often, the masculine energy, will rise to the occasion. Now, this is law of entrainment. This is, check out that law of entrainment video. Will rise to that. And that needs to be said too, because I'm seeing all these women like lowering their standards and stuff and trying. No. Hold your rules, hold your standards and things like that. Because here's the thing. Masculine energy likes competition, but they got to know the rules to the game. They like to play games. Men like to play games, okay? They like to play games. They like to make games out of everything. Trust me about that. They like to make games out of everything. But you create the rules. You hold to the standards, you hold to the vision, and they meet you there. And they like it, okay? They like that. They like it. So that is a more practical, like 3D way to look at it, you know. But then there's also the parallel realities and stuff, and like collapsing time. There's a whole thing. But at the end of the day, this whole video, which is probably going to be very long, is that yes, you can change him. You can. That's how powerful you are. That's how powerful feminine energy is that we don't talk about. Okay. So I really wanted to share that, and especially if you're in a situation where you really just want your family. And I know I've been there. You know, I really want to talk about that because I know. Is it possible? Yes. Is it hard? Yes. Yes. But if you're in a situation like that, I do want to give you hope that that is a possibility for you. It is a possibility for you. So anyways, you guys, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. Oh, fun news. We'll be launching The Fearless Muscle, my children's book. June 23rd is the date that we're tentatively set on. The audio version of that book, we will be relaunching that book in the audio version. And so June 23rd is my daughter's birthday. So I thought it would be very fitting because it's based on my daughter. So yeah, so I'm excited about that. And we also have Manifesting Made Basic on the website. Definitely check that out. Oh yeah, I'm running a special birthday discount on the audio version of that workshop. So if you're interested, message me and I'll get that over to you. What else? I think that's all. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe. I like to talk about this stuff. You know, today was a little more esoteric than I usually get. But I do want to start doing that because I think it's really, really important because, you know, I did that previously and I kind of got out of it because, you know, I'm still in my own journey contending with my view and how this whole thing works and sharing that. And so this is me actually kind of getting into that more about how the universe works and my more esoteric side. So anyways, that was a little bit of a share, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed and I would check you guys in the next video. Peace.